So we have one of the seven deconstructivists here. Well, actually, there were more than seven because um, at least two of them were had no, Wolf particularly, he had a partner, so there were seven groups, so to speak, although he and his partner were the only ones who didn't work just with as in one individual. Anyway, it is his birthday, and I thought he deserves, and I do believe he deserves, a Pritzker Prize, but for some reason, the jury of the Pritzker Prize keep postponing. Maybe they will postpone forever. They also didn't give a Pritzker Prize to Peter Eisenman. They didn't give a Pritzker Prize to Stephen Hall. There are architects who are in no way inferior to some of the architects who already received the Pritzker. And I wonder what the mechanism of thought is behind the choices. It seems that even there is some subjectivity involved. Anyway, so I thought of initiating some kind of illusory prize called the Other Pritzker, which I am offering to him today. And I sent a message to his assistant and to his communications office in Vienna about it, without any emphasis, because emphasis is not really even appropriate in this case, because of the fragility of my gesture, not because of other things. Say Himmelblau. This is the opening page of the website, and Himmelblau is some kind of a play with words about the blue sky and Bau, which is related to architecture, to building. And I know Wolf Prix is very concerned with some kind of a non-gravitational architecture, or at least he was until he fell from his bike and broke his leg, which happened about 2 years ago, or because today we are confronted with all kinds of crises. So maybe, but the dream of flying is a constant of the human spirit. In one way or another, we do want to escape the restrictions imposed on us by, well, the laws of physics, nature, and not in the last resort, maybe authority, because in a way, this quest to fly is a rebellion against authority. And I know he is rebellious in this sense. So the company he founded is named Kopp Himmelblau, and there is this Le Fes et Nous reference in Kopp, which refers to collectiveness, and then some kind of a collectiveness that wants to fly, that wants to assume the blue of the sky and the blue of the construction activity. I imagine he has and had some nostalgias. Maybe he wanted to be an actor. I see here some kind of longings towards what maybe Jean-Paul Belmondo in French gangster movies stood for. Anyway, he's an interesting man, and here he is with his former partner, Helmut. That's when they they didn't smile so much, because I think they had great difficulties to start their architectural production, because as usual, society is against rebellions and against what is called radical. In this case, radical architecture. Too bad they split, and apparently Helmut militated, or he wanted to remain involved with small projects, while Wolf Prix wanted to assume any kind of projects. And I imagine actually Wolf Prix was right. You know, why restrict yourself? And you know, luckily he had the chance to build some very large buildings. Here he is with the inevitable cigar that often architects cannot avoid. I wonder what Dr. Freud would say about it. And always elegant. There is an European elegance that he's fond of, and I'm happy he is. Anyway, a whimsical smile on his face. Wolf Prix and Helmut Swieczynski, if I pronounce well his name. So you saw a picture with the two partners. I attended a lecture by Wolf Prix many years ago at Columbia University where he said, me and Helmut, we start a project by not reading the program, not reading the budget, not reading anything, just closing our eyes and exploding with lines on a piece of paper and then open the eyes of what he called the psychogram or psychograph and then try to make sense of that doodle or that whatever was drawn on the white piece of paper and make a building of it. And that's how they built the first building, that penthouse on top of an existing older building in Vienna, not far away. In fact, across the street almost from the famous post office by Otto Wagner. Here they are again, kind of melancholy and a little bit depressed. But, as a Romanian poet said, darkening darkness, thus the gates of light. So I guess it was worthy of going through the darkness of the tunnel in order to arrive at the light, which the considerable success consisted of later on. Here he is with the Lebia Suds, gargantual character, with an immense force and joie de vivre, despite his despair in his architectural work. And on the right, the Mephistophelian smile of his friend, Wolf Prix. And here he is with Zaha. He had immense reverence and affection for Zaha. In fact, he invited Zaha to IOA, Institute of Architecture in Vienna, to conduct, to lead an atelier studio. The other two being by it was the other two being led by one by himself and the other one by Greg Lynn. In the meantime, after Zaha, Kazuyo Sejima followed, and now there are two Spanish architects who replaced Sejima. But Zaha was the master of that atelier for many years, I think almost 20 years. And there are two books, one called Total Fluidity, the other one Fluid Totality, with works by her students while she was leading the studio. And they are here, I think, at they are at Princeton here, both invited probably for a lecture. Anyway, here he is as a younger man, and here he is as an even younger man, and his studio, and here he is as a happy man, maybe not much long after he became a father again. I think he was in his 70s already. Anyway, elegant, as I said, elegant again, with a sculpture, but very similar to the bell tower of the Martin Luther Church he built in his own town in Austria. Some drawings. His drawings I have seen some drawings in Orleans at Archilab that astonished me by the preciseness, the rigor, very, very technical. But these are just sketches done in that spirit that I mentioned, closing their eyes, and not this one. This is a later sketch. And this is how he begins a design process these days. Schematic drawings, an idea, and then of course follows. This is again an old drawing from the time when they built the penthouse on top of that building, and you are going to see it. I don't know if this drawing is for the cinema in Dresden. Maybe yes, maybe not. I couldn't identify it. Another cryptical drawing by him, sketch. This was done for that penthouse that I mentioned. this type of drawing astonished me then in Orleans, you know, with very, very elaborate, very rigorous, and at the same time, very, very futuristic. Okay, so we saw a few sketches by him. Now we arrive at probably the first deconstructivist work, the rooftop remodeling in Volkerstrasse in Vienna. And it's by their standards now, is a small work in terms of size, but in terms of significance, it was not small at all. And apparently this work on top of a building, on the terrace of the building of an existing old building, opened the ways to pave the way to new commissions, larger and larger, more and more glorious. But we see already the reaction to a predictable, rational, rationalistic world, a desire to break the box, and they did break it indeed. Well, the only recognizable elements here are, you know, the toilets, which are difficult to break, it seems, and maybe the staircase. Anyway, so this is the building. It's a little bit hard to see from the street, but you can see it from far away a little bit. Anyway, as I said, across the street, a little bit diagonally, is a very famous work by Otto Wagner, the post office. Now, there are some contradictions here to an extent that, yes, the building is deconstructed, is fragmented, but look at the conference table and look at the chairs. They are there in a different spirit. I wonder how it would have been. And also the slab is perfectly horizontal. And there is a conflict here always, I think, in deconstructivist architecture, that you can only go so far in deconstructing. And there are some elements that you have to negotiate in more calm and predictable ways. But the attempt, I think, is a positive one. It is an attempt towards what he called let it bleed, let it leak, or architecture must blaze. Blaze metaphorically. In other words, it must burn. It must burn with an energy that so often we do not have. Why is it we do not have it? Because of various reasons. You know, the 9-to-5 job, boredom, you know, submitting to all kinds of restrictions, fear, and so on. The so-called reality principle. But we have to confess and we have to recognize that the deconstructivists in 99, so 30 years passed since the exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and the deconstructivists still make waves. They still move architecture, all of them. Bernard Tschumi, Peter Eisenman, Rem Koolhaas. Well, Zaha died, but her office continues. Kopp Himmelblau, Daniel Lipskind. So it wasn't just a fashion. Patrick Schumacher considered deconstruction as the kind of an interstitial style, you know, an intermediary. But I don't know. I think there is more to it. It is a constant of the human spirit to destroy in order to build, to fragment in order to bring together again. It was refreshing. After years of deadly postmodernism, deconstruction was refreshing and still is. I don't know who did this drawing, actually. It was him or it was Helmut, but it's a more lyrical drawing, and I like it very much. Apartment and office building on Schlachthausgasse. Sorry for my German. This is actually not just one building, but several buildings, 3 buildings, one near the other. I remember that being on the bicycle in Vienna and biking through Vienna, I came across it. I didn't know who made it, but I stopped. I stopped because it made me stop. Architecture, when it is surprising, it makes you stop. And later on, I found out that it was done by Kop Himmelblau. Um, this happened to me also in another day, because that very first time I only stopped because of the front of the building. In another day, also being on the bicycle, I lost myself through Vienna, and I came across the back of this building, which is equally arresting. And you'll see pictures of it. So they did this building in the corner, also the next one and the next one, which is some kind of a convention center or something. Also, one evening I passed by and I noticed this is an apartment building, and there are during the day you cannot notice it, but during the night I was able to see that people gathered in at the facade, in the interior of the apartment, all the disordered belongings, boxes, bicycles, things usually people hide away, but they were placed in the at the front of the building, and they were much more easy to perceive at night. I find it interesting, and somehow it made me speculate a little bit about this building. The second one in particular is not really deconstructivist at all. Here, on the other hand, we have a mask. This is not a structural mask. It's not. It doesn't have a structural role. It's more like a, vigorous geometrical, large-scale ornament that brings the corner of the street in this place to a climax. And it's indeed very, very different from other corners of streets and so on, and other buildings. You can see here clearly that it's just a mask. It's not structural. But in the back, this is what we have. And when I visited with some students in architecture from here, there is room for all of them, 30 people underneath this great cantilevered part of the building, which is some kind of a conference room. And being red also is important, aesthetically very important, because it's when the trees are green, you have the contrast between the green trees and this red, great cantilevered part of the building that is seems to want to leave the gray building behind. Look at this. And this one also I discovered accidentally, because, as I said, the first time I didn't see the back of the building. Here is the section, and you see it's quite large what is going on here. Anyway, so yes, architecture is supposed also to shock sometimes. Why not? To wake up people, to say, wake up, there is something to life. Live it as an adventure. Live it dangerously, as Nietzsche said. Another apartment block. These are not expensive. I imagine they are not expensive lodgings. They might even be social housings. I don't know. But it's possible to do architecture at all levels if this is your interest. And I know it is their interest, and I'm glad it is. I'm also happy that Kop Himmelblau built buildings that are not only destined to some kind of an elite, but also assumes the social fabric, the urban fabric of the city, and assumes projects and programs like social housing, or so it's the social dimension of architecture which they do not neglect, and I think this is a positive thing. Apartment building in the Leasing Brewery. This is also, at least seen from here, rather dramatic, and this drama is a trademark of the works of Kop Himmelblau. Some critics question a little bit the justifications behind the drama. This building is not dramatic everywhere, but there, seen from that corner, it was and it is. It depends what you want from life. I remember when we had a Skype dialogue from Bucharest to Vienna and from Vienna to Bucharest, he was very interested in the topic radical architecture. What is radical architecture? I also remember that in a talk he gave, I don't know, somewhere perhaps in the United States, he asked himself, what is architecture? And he said, yes. This was his answer to his own question, what is architecture? Again, his answer was yes. Beyond the whimsical answer lies, though, the vast possibilities of what architecture was, is, and might be, or could be, or should be. The power of the diagonals. The diagonals represent the black sheep of architecture. The diagonals break the rules. And every time a diagonal manifests itself, there is a chance for an increased drama, and this happens at the urban level, like in the site in the urban planning of Barcelona, or at the level of a building. But he works also with curves. Sometimes, like here, the curves are less dramatic. Maybe they show his more less polemical side. I don't know. Anyway, moving forward, he built a lot in Vienna, and I'm glad he did, because Vienna is the place where his office is. And so he is a Viennese, although he was not born in Vienna per se. Now, another housing project where again we have these powerful diagonals, which remind us that life is not just convention and predictability and submission to rules and regulations, but it's also rebellion and freedom. I know he loves Rolling Stones. I know he loves, the ethos of the late 60s. There was something then that I think is needed again in our own lives. Now, the students' dormitory, the gasometer in Vienna, a work which is, I would say, important, because it connects, but also rebelliously with the old building, which you can see on the left. This is the proposal, and this is what was built, is the dormitory, students' dormitory, and seen from this interstitial space, and I had been here a few times, is very nice, very dramatic. It is vigorous. It makes you feel alive. The materials they use here are grayish and rather cold, metallic, but in contrast with the brick building, they work quite well. And most students, when we arrived here, were very pleased and seduced by the tension between the new building and the existing building, the old building. There is, of course, instability. Instability is perhaps at the very core of deconstruction. And instability is important and should be important in any art. You can't just have stability, stability, stability. I know he hates columns. He even, paraphrased, I don't know, Chuck Berry, who said roll over Beethoven, he said roll over Palladio. Deep down, I imagine he does respect Palladio, but he understands that we cannot continue to build in a static way, mimicking a stability which is not ours. So instability is quite important for Kopp Himmelblau and for him. This is the an image, the plan with of the gasometer. This is where the proposal, what you saw, the dormitory is, and each tower received a design by these architects, Jean Nouvel, the first one, then Kopp Himmelblau, then Manfred Webdorn, and Wilhelm Holzbauer. Anyway, this is where they worked, Kopp Himmelblau and Wolf Prix. And what do we have here? We have harmony through contrast. And this contrast is actually the contrast of life. Life operates based on conflict, on tension between a man and a woman, between various opposites. And from their meeting, a new life springs forward. So here it is. This is the dormitory, and this they also redesigned the cylinder, the second one, the first one being by Jean Nouvel and the other two by the other two architects. Okay, we move forward. The Central Los Angeles Area High School. It's a high school in Los Angeles, which you know, could make envious other students if they want to be stimulated by the architecture of the building. Not too many high schools in the world look like this. And I'm happy that various institutions in the United States commissioned Kopp Himmelblau and Wolf Prix to design something for them. Even earlier than this happened in Europe, I think. It stimulates. When the students go to a school that is provocative, there is a chance they will respond dynamically. And if the school is banal, probably the students will fall asleep. It's very possible, and become lethargic and become inactive and so on. Sorry about this. We'll arrive at these buildings in detail. Here we arrive at some other pictures. He likes to joke, and I think this is a good thing because you know, I'm sure he's very, very serious about the process of building, but I think he also likes to you know, to play on a burlesque plane sometimes. We saw this, the penthouse at the top of the building. We'll arrive at this one, is in China. Sorry about this, they should have been in order, but I have such a large material that I was unable to notice all the elements that they are in the required order. One thing is for sure: this attempt to destabilize is a catalyst for a continuous search. And this project that he built with students in Italy is one of his or their best. I like it very much. It's a small work. It's this thing in between the existing buildings, and you know, it is claimed that it is some kind of eco roof. I don't know, having something to do with energy and saving energy and so on. But I love it in aesthetical terms and architectural terms. It is tumultuous. It doesn't matter. It's a small work, but it's like an architectural tempest. It's a tornado. And it's mysterious. You don't quite understand what is happening there. It's because it is built brilliantly. I mean, look how well their intervention, their insertion underlines in a way the buildings on the left and on the right. So together, the three entities enhance each other in this way. So the new could indeed advocate an harmony through contrast and not a submissive, placid harmony, if there is such a thing. And so that roof is made of these parts, which are all twisted, and so there is the unpredictability of life inserted into each entity, into each part that composes this roof. And I think it's very interesting and very well done. And I'm happy it was done with students. And you see, you can do architecture at all levels, and you don't have to necessarily have a huge budget or a big site or a big whatever. I still don't know. I didn't visit it. I was never there, but from the pictures, I'm very intrigued and I like it very much. It is really as if it opened up the chest of architecture, and you saw the viscera, you know, the visceral truth of what is inside, not just the organs, not just the physiology, but also the emotions, the feelings, expressed, of course, through an architectural language. Now, the European Central Bank, a large building, I understood from a talk he gave that this is also called the Cathedral of Money. The purists probably contested, you know, the validity of even accepting such a commission, but why not? You know, there are dangers, I think, in being excessively puristic or puritanistic. I know he loves Moby Dick, the great novel by Melville. Well, in the dialogue or the conflict between Captain Ahab and the whale, there is no room for pedantries. And you see here the twisting side of Kop Himmelblau, that you have a component of this building that is twisted and then turn around in mirror. So from the two sides, the two twisted sides, he gets the building. It doesn't seem from the outside to show accurately the complexities involved. But as he himself said, it's quite complex and structurally difficult, a complex work. It seems simple. By the way of simplicity, I know he is against simplicity. He is against the simple, yet he loves Brâncuș, the great Romanian sculptor. He actually, if I'm not mistaken, he considered him the most important or one of the most important artists of the 20th century. But paradoxically, Brâncuș was searching for the simple, not for the complex. Although what was simple in Brâncuș's vision was also complex. But as you know, maybe Brâncuș said that what is simple is what you arrive at when you are getting closer to the essence of things. And actually, when we look at this building, there is a lot of complexity within, but outside, as I wouldn't call it in an agitating way complex. Somehow it makes me think of what Tadao Ando said, that he was searching for an architecture that towards the outside was like Joseph Albers, the Bauhaus painter who painted Apollonian pictures, squares within squares with nice colors, and inside like Piranesi, the tumultuous 18th century Italian engraver. Here too, it's possible that we have inside a volcano and outside Joseph Albers, maybe. Anyway, but you see here some approximations of what is, I mean, because this is still a graphic representation of what is going on inside the building. And now you see the built work. And I would like to visit this building, actually, although my personal relationship with money is not a glorious one. But I think this is actually above money. It's not about money. It's about something else. Anyway, so the European Central Bank, large-scale work. And the Cathedral of Money. The building, this is not here, is not his. It was an existing building. They just built this and the tower. Now, this was a poster or the announcement for a lecture at Eliason, the School of Frank Lloyd Wright in Arizona in 2017. He lectures extensively all over the world. This is a project for Spain, which was not built. The projects I show are not in a chronological order. I thought that perhaps it's better for the work of a deconstructivist, if that word is still applicable. Maybe it is, or maybe it should be changed to something else, I don't know. Anyway, they still participate in many competitions. Sometimes they win, sometimes they don't. But they still want to take off. They still want to fly. When Wolf Prix was asked which are the 5 architectures that anyone should see, he named the following 5. Although in a discussion I had with him, he said that he didn't mention Hera's temple in Paestum, but that's what I read in an article from South Korea. 1, the pyramids in Egypt. 2nd, the Paestum, Hera's temple in Paestum, although, as I said, he negated later that he mentioned that, but that's what I read. 3rd, a Boeing plane, maybe 747, so a plane, not a building. 4th, the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao by Frank Gehry. And 5th, the Martin Luther Church by himself, which you are going to see a little bit later on. Anyway, this is a project that was not built in Spain. His signature, I think at one moment they had an exhibition at Storefront for Art and Architecture. Him and Helmut, if I remember correctly, I think they exhibited only their own signatures, or some kind of ironical statement about the importance of signatures in today's world, I guess. Villa Soravia in Austria, it's a private residence. I don't know of too many private residences that they built. This is one of them, and I think is the only one that I have in this presentation. And here they are, the seven deconstructivists. Well, one is missing, actually 2 are missing. Frank Gehry and Peter Eisenman. On the left, Bernard Tschumi, then Helmut, then Wolf Prix, then near Wolf Prix, Rem Koolhaas, then in the foreground, Daniel Lipskind, Zaha Hadid, and Mark Wigley, who was the curator of the exhibition and who later became the dean at Columbia University in New York. So as I said, Frank Gehry and Peter Eisenman are missing. Well, Daniel Lipskind looks like a kid, you know, like a high school kid. It's incredible. Anyway, and this is a picture from the exhibition, Deconstructivist Architecture, with works by Malevich there on the walls. And so influence is coming from the Russian constructivists. The Martin Luther Church that I mentioned, one of the 5 must-be-seen buildings in the vision of Wolf Prix, is a building built in his own hometown. And it seems that actually a Romanian young architect helped in his office to draw, to model this tumultuous roofing, Daniel Bojenaru. If I remember correctly, that's what I saw on the list with the design team. And I know he works for Kop Himmelblau. He's also a researcher at IOA, Institute of Architecture in Vienna. So this church is you know, again, it's a little town in Austria, and with this building, Wolf Prix brings less conventional architecture to the town, and I think it's good to do this whenever we can. This is the section through the building. He mentioned in a lecture that there are actually three holes in this, I mean, three openings, three skylights in the roof, and it's just an accident that there are three. In other words, it was not an intentional quest for a reference to the Trinity in religion. But the crystallization of this roofing is, you see the three openings, and I think it's very nice. This ending at the top of the building is the religious coiffure, if I can call it so, of the building, and it could even make you, speculate philosophically about its meanings that were perhaps not obstinately searched for, but were arrived at in the very same way in which Picasso said, I do not search for, I find. So anyway, but there is a theme. You'll see also the house of bread that they built, where also there is a part that is more quiet and predictable architecturally speaking, and then at the top there is a more almost baroque kind of architecture, applying a word which was used for a different century, but it could accommodate itself to the present as well. Yeah, some people might say this is not really a church, but then what is religion today? Truly, if we are to be honest. So you see the old church and you see the intervention of Kop Himmelblau. It's an interesting dialogue between the two over time. So the roofing that tumultuous roofing happens here. The House of Music in Aalborg is a good large-scale building. I know he loves music, and we'll see the opera space that he built also explicitly related to music. It's a building that yeah, I mean, a quality Kop Himmelblau has and Wolf Prix has is that although there is a certain way of doing things, they are not really repeating anything. All the works have something fresh, something new. I mean, look at the facade here. You know, those whimsical, curved, bringing together three windows or two windows in various ways. I like it very much, and it also reflects somehow outwardly towards the outside of the building what is happening inside. The House of Music, Aalborg. I think Kop Himmelblau is able to balance between order and disorder, between viscerality and a certain geometry, and they do find an equilibrium, really, most of the time. Now, this is an earlier work in Ohio. It has been said that in the United States, the avant-garde is on the East Coast and the West Coast, but actually the buildings often are built in the Midwest, in the center of the country, which is not avant-garde at all. And maybe that's because they want to emancipate themselves. So some of the projects that are conceived, let's say on the East Coast or on the West Coast, are actually physically built in places like Ohio, like this museum. Now that canopy, that flying thing, is an expression of the non-gravitational architecture that Wolf Prix himself seems to aspire towards. There is a lot of glass, there is a lot of metal, there is a belief in a certain kind of future. It's true. Now we are challenged vis-a-vis this future through the mechanisms put in motion by the tragedies we are involved with or confronted with, the pandemic, the climate change. But I have to say, by the way of the climate change, that when I receive a few messages from his assistant, there is an information at the bottom of the message of the email where it says, consider printing and not printing actually this message to save paper. And so, there is an awareness about the time we live in, I think, in their activities. On the other hand, there is a belief in technological extravaganza, and they are able to build House of Bread. This was finalized, the project was built not too long ago, maybe 2-3 years ago or so, maybe even less. A preliminary sketch. There is a collection of artifacts relating to bread, a private collection. So it's like a private museum. And this is the project. You'll see also some images of the finalized building. Like in other projects by Kop Himmelblau, here we have the organic, voluptuous, sensuous building in a contrast, in a way, with another part of the building that is more, prosaic in a way, more basic, more, concerned with the functions and less with expression. So the House of Bread, and the view from the inside after the building was completed. Another view, the spiral is present, and maybe the spiral is also present conceptually, if I can say so, in the making of bread. The section clearly, the building of a building for Kop Himmelblau is an adventure. And such, I imagine it is exciting for those who make the project possible to work on. And here is Mr. Wolf Prix. He is not smiling here. I hope he is not looking at one of his employees in this way, because I imagine the destiny of that employee might be endangered. Anyway, the large-scale work for this elite company, BMW, a vortex of architectural contortions. It is a building that doesn't say no to drama at all. And I think, if I remember correctly, he was commissioned for this building after, I don't know, the CEO of BMW saw that penthouse, that first project that I showed, built on top of an existing building in Vienna. So it is to be admired, the fact that CEOs have the poetical imagination to be seduced by a project like that penthouse. It is a very, very large, building. It is a building that seems to say anything is possible. A powerful company, and so the dynamic forces, as you can see here. There you see an essay by Sanford Quinter, a very important writer about architecture and theoretician of culture, of architecture and of culture in general. Indeed, dynamic forces, spirals, intertwining passageways, vortex, that's the word, it is a vortex. And here is the happy architect, because you must be happy after you build so many buildings and many of them exactly as you wanted them to be. Now the Busan Cinema Center in South Korea, here literally a building that doesn't seem to be happy any longer, to belong to the earth and wants to take off, just like a Boeing 747 or whatever the number. I will tell you a story about this building. So that flying part is quite dramatic and is quite large. I mean, look at this. You know, it is indeed a technological effort made in order to show that humans can fly even through buildings, but in a different way than the builders of the Gothic cathedrals, for example, who also wanted to fly, but in a very different way. But look at this. It is magnificently ready to take off, although it is a building and it is heavy. In fact, so heavy that considering the new regulations against seismic forces, against possible earthquakes in South Korea, they had to do something in order to respect the newer regulations. And I will tell you what that was about. Look, it is huge. I mean, literally huge. And at night is quite dramatic because of the images that are projected on the bottom of that flying thing. Do you see something here and also here? I've heard Wolf Prix in a lecture saying that when the building was already being built, when the regulations for seismic limits were modified, so the new regulations were not any longer respected by the building because they changed. So they had to envision something in case an earthquake of a certain magnitude happened, the building to still function. So they invented this telescopic column, which would spring automatically from the earth and support the corner, the most vulnerable part of this flying roof, just in case the magnitude of the earthquake was beyond certain limits. You see it here. In a way, this is a little bit ironical because yes, we want to fly. Yes, we have all kinds of capabilities, but on the other hand, we still have to confront and be confronted with the limitations that nature sometimes impose on us. So we need a cane, we need a telescoping column to support this fragile corner in case of great danger. Anyway, this is the building is in a certain way, not very dissimilar to other works by Kopp Himmelblau. He's very interested in a complex spatiality, in dynamic forces, in diagonals, in everything that is saying no to a placid, static conception of life and of art alike. Look at it at night. It is glorious, I have to say. And I wonder what you feel when you pass by. It is an invitation to imagination, to take off, to dream, to act upon your dreams. As Stephen Hall said, if you have idealism in you, express it. And I would agree with it. Perhaps the best part within ourselves is this idealism, if we are to use this word, that often, unfortunately, remains trapped in the drawer, digital or otherwise. The sketch, seen from far and a little bit from above, some digital simulation, the complexities of structure. And here the architect and the engineer cooperate, and they need this kind of cooperation, which is creative for both sides. The Cinema Center in Dresden, an earlier work, and this one I have seen, I have been there. It was closer to the roots of what was called deconstruction. Of course, I feel tempted to speculate about the meaning of the building. Why is it leaning like this? Well, it is leaning because in a way, this is what art does, and the film as well, if it is good. It provokes a dislocation, it provokes an instability, it provokes a mental and emotional earthquake. And the building tries to express this. Just as these graffitis do in their own ways. But the graffitis do not belong to Kop Himmelblau. This is the building by Kop Himmelblau. The open house in Malibu, this was a building that was not built for a famous and very sensuous Hollywood actress, Kim Basinger. It was not built, but it could have been an interesting building. It was not built. The Dalian International Conference Center in China. I wonder if Dalian has anything to do with Salvador Dali. Probably not. But a surrealistic side exists in the building. I mean, look at this movement of the facade. In fact, it doesn't have facades proper. Here, you cannot talk about the east, west, north, and south facades. No, it's a different kind of building. Just like an organism in nature, it doesn't have facades. I remember once when I studied architecture, we had this program, this theme to design the facades of a sculpture. Well, for me, a true sculpture doesn't have facades. And I was sarcastic, and I drew a tree 4 times identically, and I called it facade east, facade west, facade south, and facade north. You know, how could you design the elevations of a tree or of a sculpture for that matter? You can't if it's an organic being. Anyway, moving forward, a large-scale building. He seems to have a good relationship with China, and China is wise enough to invite important architects to plant the seeds of innovation and creativity in their land. And look at the, you know, I mean, this kind of drawing you cannot make manually. You need to have excellent workers who know digital programs and so on. Le Musée des Confluences. I have seen this building in Lyon, in France. So the Musée des Confluences, and it has a very noble name, the Museum of Confluences, was conceived as a medium for the transfer of knowledge rather than as a showroom for the 2.2 million objects in its collection. And accessibility is a key theme of Kop Himmelblau's layout. The Austrian architecture firm divided the building into 3 parts: the crystal, the cloud, and the plinth, which contain entrance foyer, exhibition spaces, and auditoriums and workshops, respectively. It's some kind of an architectural animal, you know, maybe a dinosaur or some kind of a reptile, a metallic reptile, a giant reptile, and this, you know, it's impossible not to respond to it in a mesmerizing way. The only thing that perhaps could be a little bit questioned is that the materials that are used inside are the very same ones. Personally, I would not have been very disappointed if there was a certain viscerality, even at the level of tactility and tectonics. But otherwise, the volumetric reality of the building, why would I call it building? It's, as I said, it is an architectonic animal. It is an animal of large dimensions. Too bad that inside we have the skeletons of real animals. And I think the design chosen by Kop Himmelblau is correct for encasing and displaying those bones and skeletons. I think you'll see some pictures. I love the section It was a building that I understood encountered some resistance from the politicians, but it seems Wolf Prix is an excellent negotiator and was able to handle the quest for erecting the building properly. And now the building is a success, although initially understood there was great resistance from the administration of Lyon. Here we have the poor animals, you know, stuffed in this grayish. Personally, I see some pessimism here. Even here with those bones hanging from the ceiling. I don't know if this was the intention of Kop Himmelblau to express in a way the sadness of bringing into the museum what once was alive. But I think they did a good job in this sense. The interior seems to communicate to me a certain skepticism and even pessimism about the whole enterprise. Even here, you know, it's everything is grayish and desolate in a way. You know, I don't know. I don't get the feeling that Kop Himmelblau in these interiors manifest a great, unstoppable joy in the discoveries, in the unending discoveries of science and the unending control of man over nature. But who knows, maybe I project my own beliefs and my own perceptions into what I see. But I think conceptually they chose the correct way to display these so-called artifacts. The building is indeed one of the most dramatic that they built, and it started with this sketch. It lasted, the construction, for a number of years. Now, I almost said delicious, although it's a rather aggressive building, the Pavilion 21 mini opera space in München, but it could be dismantled and transported to other places. These triangular eccentricities seem to fight off the noise of the cars passing by. You'll see a sketch about this. But I also, they might also represent a certain asocial dimension, perhaps, in the activities of the architectural firm we are talking about now. Maybe it's a presumption. I like this building very much, and it is based apparently on two musical pieces, one by Mozart, one by Jimi Hendrix. And again, it is the conciliation, the negotiation between two opposite forces, although not really very opposite. You know, in a way, Jimi Hendrix was and is some kind of an equivalent of Mozart in our time, if we can say so. Some people might protest. Some people would say, come on, you cannot compare Jimi Hendrix with Mozart. Why not? It's a different time, a different space, and a different music. But the intensity of Jimi Hendrix is not to be ignored, and is not necessarily inferior to the intensity of the great Mozart. Anyway, so you see here in the public enemy called the car, although Wolf Prix loved cars, and he himself said it, he loved high-speed cars, emitting sounds and noise, and then the building like an attacked animal fighting back through these pyramids, if we can call them so. It's amazing he was actually able to build this building, which is in a way scandalizing the bourgeois, épater la bourgeoisie. This is what I feel like saying when I look at this building. It is a building that says no to the bourgeoisie, and yet the bourgeoisie, look at them, they are all here in tuxedos and long dresses and so on. Anyway, this is the building, this is the plan, this is the section, and here we see that they simulated through scripting I don't know exactly how they did this, you know, to have the piece by Mozart create these pulsations. And similarly for Jimi Hendrix, for Purple Haze, they did the same thing. So I don't know exactly how these digital pulsations were able then, became afterwards the external expression of the building. Now, the Museum of Contemporary Art in Shenzhen, in China, another very large scale. These Chinese, they build anything. They have the money and they have the will. And here we have, we can see to an extent his fascination with Constantin Brâncuș. This not really an egg, but could be seen from a certain point as some kind of a large scale egg, like here, or head, egg, the beginning of the world. Hello, Constantin Brâncuș, Wolf Prix loves you. And again, it was built, and I think they used robots, and I think they used the newest technologies in order to build this, and without them, it would have been probably impossible. So there is always in their works this balance that I mentioned before between a structure that was that is not necessarily vortex-like, and then some kind of an agitating entity or space that distorts and brings into play the anxiety of a new beginning, in a way, a dislocation that provokes life. And here it's mainly present here at the core. He was very clear in his intent to create very dramatic and complex interior spaces. This is a declared goal of their firm, Kopf Himmelblau. We are approaching the end. Again, Mr. Wolf Prix, we have seen this picture. And here is the cover of a book that IOA published. It was called Massive Attack, IOA Silver Lecture Series, Selected Friends and Enemies. And there was and is a who's who in contemporary architecture. Some people died, like Hans Hollein. But you had, you see at random, Patrick Schumacher, Zaha Hadid, Peter Cook, Hiroshi Habe, and Michael Rotondi, and Greg Lynn, and so on. And it is this role of Wolf Prix as a catalyst, as some kind of an enfant terrible of architecture that qualifies him, I think, for being considered very necessary in the culture of architecture in particular, and in the field of culture in general. We need such people, and we can only tell him thank you, and we can only tell him again, happy birthday. That's it. Thank you very much.
Not born now. So what I mean is that the young people, the young architects, they have a chance now to influence with new ideas the upcoming new structures. If they don't do it, the old structures will survive and will come up again. And this is the end of innovation and of liberty. I think, you know, that this is a big chance for young people, and they should take it.
I totally agree, and I don't know if you know, I mean, it is in a way very questionable and maybe foolish from my side, but I am so alarmed by the fact that you didn't yet receive the Pritzker Prize. Not that you need it. You don't need that prize.
Yeah.
You don't need that prize, but I offered you from the facility.
Very nice, very nice. I like it.
The other Pritzker, and in fact, I offered it a few days ago to Stephen Hall, who also, I think, although he's a different architect from you, but I also think he deserves it. And it's very, very strange to me that someone like you didn't get it, and I don't understand what's happening with the Pritzker jury.
No, yeah, but this is a conservative jury as well, yeah.
It is very much so.
Yeah, very much so, and I think I will never get it because I'm too polarizing things, and I don't take all this shitty conservative new stuff. They only think about greenwash and other things, and forgetting what architecture really is, namely create extraordinary spaces. That's all I can say. And
I like the way you look. You look rebellious, you look young, you look ready to change the world. I think the pandemic is bringing out this revolutionary side even more.
Yeah. The background you can see is the entrance to the Mokapi Museum in Shenzhen.
Yes, I presented it today.
Ah, yeah, very good.
I presented a lot of slides, 365 pictures, as many times.
Very nice. Where are you now? Where are you? Where?
In Bucharest.
Yeah, I know, but where in your home office or?
Well, no. Well, I am at home. I actually live on the campus of that belong to the university, and I didn't leave it in almost a year. I don't even know if I can still walk.
Yeah, this is a problem all over the world.
Yes, it is. I think I hear your daughter behind. I hear the voice.
The kids are loud. I have to quiet them a little bit. Hallo, können Sie bitte ruhiger sein? Ja, bitte, ja. Sehr gut. Du kannst du bitte ruhiger sein? Nein, ich kann jetzt nicht. Ja, wow.
I wanted to ask you, because on the 17th, there will be 250 years since the birth of Ludwig van Beethoven. And Stephen Hall wrote to me 2 days ago or 3 days ago about the joy that is going beyond the suffering. That anyway, he was quoting from Zarathustra, from Nietzsche. What do you think the relationship is between suffering and joy?
No. I don't like that we are talking. Suffering is a. Könnt ihr bitte aufhören? Suffering is a reason that for creative work. That's a very bourgeois meaning of being an artist.
I agree with you. Yes, but I agree with you. Of course, it is a cliche. You know,
yeah, of course, very much so. Yeah.
You have to go in the gutter to be miserable there in order to write a poem. Of course, it's not true, but there is a tension between light and shadow.
Of course, but you have to know that Mozart was a playboy. He had a lot of money. He was gambling. He was playing billard. He has a lot of women around him. He was a kind of superstar, like the rock stars here. that at the very end he spent all his money and was poor. That creates the rumor or the myth that he was always poor. That's not true. And you know, Haydn was very rich, and Beethoven didn't suffer too much. He was trying to introduce new forms and new regulation in the music. And people didn't like it, so they say he has to suffer. But
I wanted to ask you, what do you think of the Cartesian rationalistic building of where Iowa is in Vienna?
of whom?
You know, the building where the Institute of Architecture is a very Cartesian rationalistic structure.
Where?
In Vienna, where the Institute of Architecture is, Iowa, at the Angewandte. But the building,
the new one?
no, the building where the ateliers are, Greg Lynn, Hani Rashid, and the other.
This was done in the 50s
Yes.
by Karl Schwanzer and another guy. I didn't like it too much.
I thought so.
Yeah, but it's better than the new one.
Where is the new one?
The new one is a remodeling of the old one in a very bad way. It was done by a commercial architect, stupid enough, and no idea of having any new innovation. It's stupid. It looks like a corporate architectural office inside. And outside, you cannot see that it's rebuilt.
I wanted to ask you, if you allow me, what projects do you have in active now in your? If you can tell me, you know, just what projects do you work on right now?
Right now, we are doing a project in India, renovating and remodeling in a very, very clever way. The client is a very clever client, remodeling a slum area, which is not that easy, but he had the idea to save the site by putting away all this poisoned earth and create a new infrastructure. And part of this, 1/3 of this area, there will be 3 or 4 high-rises, which are sold to with beautiful, very expensive interiors, which will be sold to rich people. And the money he can get from this, the profit he can get from the towers, he uses to build a new structure of slums where people can work and live at the same time, like it is always in slums. And it's a very hybrid structure. We will have finished the project before Christmas, or maybe after the 6th of January, and then it will be published on our website, and I will publish it on the social medias as well, because it's a very intelligent system to renovate and remodel a whole slum area by using the money which can be produced by the very expensive apartment in the high-rises, using this to build apartments for the people, for the slum people, and the new infrastructure with healthy water, healthy air, healthy and where the garbage is coming in. So that is very healthy, the area around, little green as well. and people can live there for 10 years without paying rent. So this is a very new and very exciting approach, and we are giving this approach, let's say, architectural form. This is what we are doing now, and then we have two opera buildings, buildings in Russia, and a museum and a ballet, a school for ballet in Russia as well. We are working on a project coming up in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, we have a lot of work, to be honest.
And you work just from a distance, meaning virtually?
Yeah. This is a problem. It slows down, of course, the speed of the development, because in the shutdown, when people are working in home office, we have a tool where we can we put our 3D models into a virtual room, and people can sit around and we can draw on this model and things like that. But that really doesn't replace the real personal meeting in the office, where you can read and look in the eyes of the team and can read the body language. I don't like this home office style, only technoid and technocratic offices with multiple choice forms can survive in these times. If you want to be creative, if you are creative, then in a team, you have to sit there and talk to them personally. Doesn't work via video.
Yes, yes.
And therefore it slows down, and also the client, if you meet the client, you cannot see his eyes and you cannot discuss it in a very fruitful way, I have to say. Sorry. This is my opinion, and I hope that we will have the vaccine very soon, because I feel imprisoned in Vienna. I cannot move around. I cannot go to see the sites. This is a disadvantage, I have to say.
It is for everybody. I want to ask you, would you accept the other Pritzker Prize from us?
Of course.
Thank you very much. You are very generous.
Of course. Of course.
Anyway, we'll make. It's too bad I don't have any kind of power or relations, but we can create an alternative prize, the other Pritzker Prize, to be polemical vis-a-vis the stiff, conventional and predictable and actually increasingly banal so-called official one.
You should promote that in the social medias.
I'm terrible at this. I'm not good at this.
What you wrote, I will publish it as well, and hopefully Stephen will do it as well. So
he said he will. Yes, he will.
Yeah, and I'm very proud to be next to Stephen Hall, and I have to say the Pritzker Prize now is only it's only, can I take the phone? Give me a moment, ja? Danke, ich muss das Video fertig machen, dann rufe ich dich an, wenn ich dich erreichen kann. Bist du am Hochstand oder bist du nicht mehr? Oder bist du im Portell? Gut, dann kann ich dich anrufen, ja? Und ja, genau, die Glückwünsche entgegennehmen. ja, danke, servus. Sorry, so I lost the track. What did we talk about?
No, you said about this other Pritzker Prize and the Stephen Hall and you.
Yeah, it's going down. Yeah, it's going down. It's you know, all people like Eisenman, like Moss, like Stephen Hall. They didn't get it.
Bernard Tschumi also.
Bernard Tschumi didn't get it, and I don't know. And people who got it, they are in the second row and third row, so it's not so interesting anymore to get the Pritzker Prize, except the money. I would like, yeah. And to be honest, the premium prize, yeah, which is given from the Japanese cultural institution, is much better because you get 100,000 bucks for architecture, 100,000 for poetry, 100,000 for art, and 100,000 for music. So I always said, I'm an architect. I can do art. I can do poetry, and then I can play music. So I want to have all the four prizes, meaning that,
Right.
ich rufe gleich zurück. And all these things together is much more worth than the Pritzker Prize, which
Do you know
the
that-
last.
Do you know that there is actually a prize that is twice as big, and that is the Notre Dame Architecture Prize? But unfortunately, they are extremely, I mean, I don't think you'd like to be, honored by the Notre Dame Prize. Anyway, but talking about prizes, maybe you know Alvar Aalto used to take part in competitions, and sometimes he won the first prize and the second prize.
Sehr good. I like that.
Yes, it's not easy, but he did it a few times.
That's good. Yeah, that must be a good jury. Yeah.
I think so, yes. I think Frank Lloyd Wright was right when he said, I don't take part in competitions because I cannot allow myself to be judged by some mediocre committees.
That's a good. I have to look at that. I have to quote that. Yeah. Very good. Frank Lloyd Wright competition. Yeah, sehr good. I hope that this stupid pandemic will go over soon, so that I can come to
Bucharest.
to Bucharest again and see the Brancusi things, which I like very much.
You know, I was told that you made a proposal for a Brancusi Museum in Târgu Jiu.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What happened to that proposal? I didn't see it, but I'm very curious.
Yeah, but we didn't publish it because it's just the first idea. The pandemic stopped a lot of projects, the corona. And since we cannot go there and talk to the people, we don't know. But it's a nice project.
Do you have expectations to build it, to implement it?
It would be great, but the thing is that Romania doesn't have any sculptures. They are all in Paris. Yeah.
In a way, it would be nice. It would be just the building and draw an arrow on the floor towards Paris and say, if you want to see the works, go to Paris.
Right. Yeah. This is what we wanted to do. Or we will do holograms of the which is easy now. We did it once for exhibition, holograms of this of the sculptures, maybe. But first of all, we have to wait till this corona has stopped, and we are ready to come and talk to the people again. Yeah.
Yes, it is crippling all of us, it's true. What can we do? But your
We have to wait.
activity is still very rich from what you told us, and you know, you're unstoppable. I mean, the virus cannot stop you from building, and so you know
Hopefully.
the office is still active even from a distance.
Yeah, very much so.
I know very well where your office is, on Spengergasse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you been?
Pardon?
Yeah.
I
Have
never
you been
visited.
in my office?
I never visited, unfortunately, but
See?
I slept 2 nights in that little park. I think it's called the Bach Park, right near your the location of your office.
Now, next time you should visit us. No
I would
problem.
gladly do so with some students or without the students, because I have admiration for what you do. It takes a difficult it's a difficult position to keep pushing the frontiers and to keep rebelling, not for the sake of rebellion, but for the sake of being alive. And unfortunately, very
Right.
few people in Romania too are alive. I don't know what happened to the students. We have a student here who is exasperated by the indifference of the students. What can we do?
I hope. Yeah, we have to wait.
That's why people like you, like Eisenman, like Jumi, like Eric Owen Moss, like Stephen Hall are extremely important for the culture of architecture. And it's very unacceptable, actually, that, you know, the so-called official culture is kind of, you know, not paying enough attention. That's what it is. But you are still very much there. So, and now you are the proud recipient of the other Pritzker Prize. So who cares? Who cares about the official one?
Yeah, who cares about that? Because this is it's getting more and more mediocre. Yeah, and therefore I'm very proud that I have the Pritzker Prize. Now, how do you call the other Pritzker Prize?
Yes, the other Pritzker Prize. Yes, let's advertise it to the 4 cardinal points of the world. Unfortunately, yes. There is no prize in itself. There is, but
no, it doesn't matter. And you should publish a list of architects who should have got the Pritzker Prize.
I am, and I am only offering them on their birthdays. This is very, very important. On their birthdays, Stephen Hall got it on his birthday, and he was happy. You got it on your birthday, and you are happy. I don't know the next one who will be. I have to look. But yes, Eisenman deserves it. Jumi deserves it. Eric Owen Moss deserves it. Tom received it, so we are not going to give him another one, although he deserves it too.
Yeah, would be great.
Yes, we'll make the club of the black sheep of architecture.
I like that. I like that. Then it's a great idea. Then I have to take care of my kids because it's late enough to stuff them in bed.
No, it was very, very generous and a great joy for us that you showed up. Happy birthday to you again.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry that I was late. But
No. They say that what happens, the one who is late is actually the most precious. I think there is a film called The One Who Arrives Late at the Dinner or something like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, thank you very much. And you see, you have here the representative of the students in Bucharest, a brilliant first-year student who said, "Happy birthday, Mr. Prix."
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I really like it.
Okay, yeah. Be very well. Bye.
Bye, and thank you. And
thank you.
All the companions.
I will send you the recording. Thank you.
Thanks.